Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is Maj Mahalla Panjwa. Aau Sajan Sant Meet Pyare, Mil Gavo Gun Agam Apare, Gavat Sunat Sabe Hi Mukte, Soti Aiya Jin Ham Kiye Jiyo, Janam Janam Ke Kil Bikh Jave, मन चिंदे सोई फल पावै सिमर साहिब सो सच सुआमी रिजक सबस को दिए जियो नाम जपत सर्ब सुख पाइयै सब भौ बिन सै हर हर ध्याइयै जिनि सेविया सो पार गरामी कारज सगले थिए जियो आए पिया तेरी सरनाई ज्यों भावै त्यों लह मिलाई कर कृपा प्रभ भगति लावो सच नानक अमृत पिए जियो. The fifth Nanak, inviting us. Aau Sajan Sant meet hamare. Come, my friends, meet pyare. Lovers of the Guru Enlightener, Sajan Sant, let's come together, mil. Gavo gun agam apare. Let's come together and recognize and become intimate with that boundless apare, an unfathomable eternal source, agam, which brought us into being, jin ham kiye jiyo. And in awareness of that source lies freedom for all. Gavat sunat sabe hi mukte. Now, the literal translation of Gavat Sunat is singing, listening, but we want to extend it beyond the conventional meanings. What Guru Arjan is really doing here is inviting us to develop, to cultivate an intimate relationship with the self, the unbounded self. What happens when we do that? Why is he inviting us to do that? Janam janam ke kil bikh jave. By doing that, banish the deep-rooted and chronic anxieties. Janam janam ke kil bikh jave. We'll talk about janam janam as we go along. So banish the frustrations, the chronic anxieties and afflictions of the mind. Man chinde soi phal paave. Enjoy the bliss of a unitive experience in an enlightened mind. The mind becomes enlightened. Man chinde, of course, translated very commonly as fulfilling of your wishes. But some of our wishes could be no more than binding ourselves again. So we have to be a little careful in how we translate this. Here the Guru is pointing to a unitive experience of the mind. The mind is enlightened. Man chinde soi phal paave. It's fruitful now. It's a unitive experience. So live in awareness, simmer, of that eternal master, Sahib, who is eternal. And we noted earlier, eternal, boundless, without limits. Naam japat sarb sukh paiyeh. Gaining insight into the Supreme Self. Naam japat, a variation of jap. And we have talked often about jap. It means to really be absorbed in all ways. Remember, there is never a single value to a lot of the concepts in Gurbani. So jap can mean anything from recitation to review to understanding to absorption to get insights from and so on. So the idea is engage with Naam, self-knowledge. That will bring bliss. Sarab Sukh Pai. Now, Sukh and Dukh in Gurmat are really just of two kinds. Sukh is any any activity that brings you closer or gives you more awareness of the self, brings Sukh with it, and vice versa. So when self-awareness is achieved, har har pe aaye, then what happens? Sabbe pao bin se. The primal fear of death, because there's only one primal fear that we have, and that is of death. It loses its hold. And those jinni who serve the transcendent, sevya so pargarami, their task is accomplished. Karaj sagle thiye jiyo. Now, I've translated the line Jin sevya so pargarami as those who serve the transcendent. Other translations read it as the one who contemplates the one, transcends their narrow ego vision. I think in either case, the message remains the same. Aaye paya teri saranai, sanctuary. I've taken sanctuary at your paya teri saranai, which is literally feet, but it means I have taken sanctuary in your knowledge. That is my refuge. That is my sanctuary. Take me in your embrace, Guruji is saying. Tyo lahe milaye, jo pave tyo lahe, as you please. Have compassion, kar kirpa, and grant me the gift of devotion, bhakti lavo. It is only through bhakti, he's saying, that Nanak Amrita Piye Jiyo, the elixir of eternal wisdom that comes from self-knowledge. So really, what do we make of this passage? Why is the Guru inviting us to go past the manifested and embodied aspects of reality to the boundless and timeless source? Because we are rooted in that. Reality is not as it appears to the eye. There is much more besides what strikes our senses. Unless we go past what is obvious to us, we will miss reality and will not be truly free. That really is the message. We will remain bound to the self-stultifying ego consciousness. And to free ourselves, a measure of detachment is essential from egoistic passions, from intellectual prejudices, and from the trammels of traditional thought patterns. In other words, our actions and outlook have to be ego-dissolving. Janam janam ke kil vikh jave. Now, the term janam janam finds frequent mention in Gurbani. Is often translated as birth after birth or life after life. Multiple. Our suggestion would be to treat Janam Janam as an expression or a symbol of rebirth, spiritual rebirth within this lifetime. Because if a hukum orientation is to be established, the old haume orientation has to go. The manmukh, that is us, has to perish in order that the gurmukh may be born. Now, to be sure, denial and detachment, physical, intellectual, emotional, ethical, is indispensable. It is an indispensable condition for self-realization, but it should not be confused with ascetic mortification, which the Gurus have condemned, because we know that no amount of ascetic practices can guarantee enlightenment. Enlightenment is always in the nature of grace. So in this passage, the Guru is calling for a rebirth, from Manmukh to Gurmukh. And the only way that happens is if you meet with the Sajan Sant, who is also your Mitra Pyara, the Guru, the enlightener. That is the only way to go. With those thoughts, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.